your warm-up for today, you may want to write this on a piece of paper, do it on your desk. In this scenario, both students were given a literal equation and asked to solve for y. While they were solving, they both made a mistake. So your job is to figure out where their mistake was for Marcus and Emily, and how do you know they made a mistake. Right, I'll give you 5-ish, maybe a little longer minutes. I would say write out what they have, see if you can write it, do your own work, and see if you get the same things, get something different, and you can figure out where their mistake is. This mistake. Beer? Either one.
For one, speaker about to go to the negative.
So that was correct. For Marcus, he did not bring down the negative 2. So when he divided everything by 2, he should have divided everything by negative 2, which would have changed. You could have either left it like this or changed the signs completely. So everything should have changed, either putting the negative out front altogether or changing the signs completely. Anyone find Emily's mistake? So she should have put parentheses there and multiplied to everything. This is all numbered. But because she didn't put in those parentheses, she only multiplied the W to the X. Correct. To the correct answer for that one, but then I'm going to rewrite from here. Where she could have distributed if she so chose. Either way. Right? So this should look familiar because that's what we just finished doing. Before we talk about this, we're finish it after. Important things on your course calendar. Take note of when Delta Maths are due, when your quiz is, when your test is, all of those things. Everyone should have these notes in front of them. So at this point, go ahead and put phones away. If you want to back out. Not on your desk. Away.
40% you crashed and died. Are you still driving?
There is some vocab / descriptions you guys need to write. So I'll let you write those.
Okay. You're in a rocket. 40% says you're gonna die. Are you still in the rocket? It's absurd.
Right. While you're writing, I'm just going to read it off. Rate of change, you may have heard before, is a ratio that shows how one variable changes with respect to another. On a linear graph, this is called the slope of the line. So rate of change, slope, they're interchangeable. Slope is written as a ratio of the vertical change, rise, to the horizontal change, run, between any 2 points on a line. One way to kind of help you remember that, I think about when I get out of the bed, I usually sit up, I rise up before I get out of the bed, so I rise before I run. This remains constant for any 2 points on the same line. Slope is written as a fraction in simplest form. The variable for slope is m. And then we're going to talk about different slopes here in a second. as a reminder, some of the things we talked about are on these boards or on that board or this board over there. You are free to read those, go up to them anytime you need a refresher on any of those things. I want you to draw these. Draw in XY axes.
You're not gonna get to see me bench stickers anymore. Yes, sir.
There are 4 different types of slope. Right, that was one. There are 4 different types of slope. Positive, negative, 0, undefined. I'm going to draw in different lines so you see what these look like. Draw this to the best of your ability. It doesn't have to be perfect. Right. Positive is going to be a line that kind of looks like this. That was also perfect. Negative will be the opposite direction. Zero will be a straight line across. And undefined will be a straight line that's up and vertical. When we look into slopes, we have to know the numbers that we're trying to find, one, so we couldn't actually find the slope of these two. But we can talk about directions, what make them positive, what make them negative. When you're reading a positive slope, we have to measure rise first. So for me, reading this left to right, this is going up and to the right. Up and right are both in general positive directions. So a positive over a positive will be a positive. But if you were looking at the opposite way, let's say I'm starting left, right, left. I'm going down and to the left. And if this is a fraction, if I have down and left, those are both negative directions. A down or a negative over a negative would still be a positive. So no matter which way you go, it will always be positive. Right? Opposite for negative. If I'm looking at this one, it's going down, but to the right. The down is the negative part. Only one of them needs to be negative if you want the whole thing to be negative. Or if I'm reading the other way, I'm going up and left. The left would make that negative, making the whole thing negative. With zero slope, you're not going up and down at all. So you have no change in y's, but you are moving left and right. And if I have 0 divided by anything, we're going to get what? 0, which is why the slope is 0, no matter what. Undefined is the opposite. We are moving up and down, but we're not moving left and right. So pick a number, your favorite number, whatever number you want. Also, none of you have calculators and you need them. But pick a number and go grab your calculator and then divide it by 0. We do that really quick. Alright, so as I was saying, pick a number, whatever number you want, and then hit divide 0 and tell me what happens. You cannot, at least in this class, divide by 0. It gives you error. That would be undefined, yes. In calculus, they divide by 0 all the time. It's not a thing. You cannot divide by 0 in calculus. So we're not doing that. Alright, so think about it as you're dividing by 0. It's undefined. We can't do it. It's be like bungee jumping. One way. 2 ways, but the up and down. Right? Questions about directions of slopes? We'll have time to start like one of these, and then. Okay, we'll do this when we come back from lunch. Alright, so we are going to find slope on a graph. So we have graphs already. We are going to use our rise over run to figure out what the slope will be. So sometimes your graphs will give you points, sometimes they won't. You'll have to find points. So if they give you points, like this one, gives you these 2 points, you can make them a little bigger, they're harder to read. But if you don't see points, you have to find 2 points on this line that crosses the background grid lines exactly. Once you find those 2 points, we're going to count the rise and then count the run. So from here up, we're going to count how far up we go. I'm just going to go like this so I can count each box. You don't have to do this, but if it helps you see it, feel free to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then from that point, I'm going to count how far over am I going to go. And I'm going to start writing this like this. So we went up 7, to the right 4. Up and right are both positive directions, so that means this is going to be a positive 7 units. But because we're trying to find the slope, we want to specify what we're looking for. So equals m equals, remember m is the variable for slope. Questions on that before I show you a different way you could have done that? So that was us looking left, right. If we go the opposite way and we start at this point, we always have to do rise or run, whether that's going up or down. So I would count how many units down. And then how many units to the left. It's going to end up being the same number. But because the down and the left would both be negatives, this would be negative 7 over negative 4, which would make it a positive. Questions on how we read the graph to find the slope? Let's try number 2. So there are 2 points on here already. Again, if you didn't see those, you would just look for points that cross the grid lines exactly, like this one could have been one, this one could have been one. Doesn't matter which 2 points, you just have to find 2 points. Okay. Does not matter which points you start to choose from. So let's say I'm starting here, let's say I don't do the middle ones. And I count how far down, how far to the right. How many units down are we going?
1. Okay, 3.
3. And then how many units to the right?
9.
9. Okay, so 3 units down, 9 units to the right. That would make this a negative 3 over 9, but we have to simplify. To negative 1. What this means is every time I go down 1 and to the right 3, there should be another point. We can check that. down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3. And we keep going off the page, off the graph. Right. You could do it the other way as well. So we'll do that for this one, but we won't do that for every single one. So let's say I just was looking at these two and I went up 1 and to the left 3. When you write the opposite way, even though 3 was the negative one, as we kind of talked about in the last unit, we don't want that negative in the denominator. We want it either out front or up. Right? But we would not put the negative with both. Questions on that so far? Alright. So we kind of talked about this already when we were talking about slope. Extra quiet. And what we talked about is will work always, so we're not going left and right. Sorry, we're not going up and down, we are going left and right. If you wanted to find those specific numbers, you could, but it doesn't matter because the slope will always be 0. So whether you find that work, do that work, or just know it's going to be 0, it's going to always be 0. One other way to help you remember which slope is which is using these letters. So somewhere on your page, write this. Hoybux. Now, if you want to write out what they mean, you might need a little bit more space than what I just said. Right. This stands for horizontal lines have a 0 slope and are y equals. Some of that won't make a whole lot of sense right now, but when we get later into this unit, it will. And then the opposite, vertical lines have undefined slope and are x equals. So if you know what type of line you're dealing with, you will know the slope. If you remember this, remember your Hoybux. I'm going to say that often. We're going to use it throughout the year. So horizontal lines have a 0 slope. For this, that's all you need to know. The y equals we'll talk about later. Then this is a undefined line. So the slope, I gave you the slope. It was a vertical line, and the slope is undefined. I was going to ask what the slope is, but I gave it to you anyway. So you can put UND, UNDEF, you can spell it out. Either way. Again, you could do the work like we started to do. We know this goes up and down. You could find the 2 points. But because we cannot divide by 0, it will always be undefined. It will give you an error. On how we find slope from these. So we're actually going to skip a couple pages. Go to the very last page. Find the page that looks like this. We're going to do a couple together, then I'm going to have you guys try some, then we'll come back and do other notes. So, is there any that we want to go over that maybe we're not sure where to start? None of these have points, so we have to find the points also. Any you want to do together? I'll let you guys choose before I pick some.
2.
2, okay. 5 together, and then I'll choose a couple for you to do. Alright, so number 2, we have to find points that cross the grid lines exactly. So, where does this line cross the background grid lines exactly? Tell me that order of care. Where would that be? Say that again. You said after. Not 4 on the X or 4 on the Y. Oh wait, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? It's close though. At both, so that would be at the point 3, 3. But we need one more point. Where else does it cross the grid line exactly? Positive 4? Negative 4. Okay. And X value? The Y value is negative 4. What would your X be? What would that point be? 2. So at 2, negative 4 would be your other point. Now we have our 2 points. Now we can count our slope. So count how many it takes to get up, how many units it takes to get up your rise. How far did we go up? And then how far over? 1. Now, drawing this, doing these arrows, all of that is not a necessary thing. If it helps you, do it. Right, so we have up and right. Would those be positive, negative, 0, undefined? What type of slope would that be?
Negative.
So we have something that's going up and right. Positive. And you would simplify this as much as possible. So if you can simplify this be 7, do that. So that means if this extended off the page, off the graph, if I kept going up 7 and to the right 1, I would end up at another point. Or if I went down 7, left 1, I would end up at another point. Questions on that one before we move on? Okay, number 5 I said we're going to do. So give me the 2 ordered pairs where you see 2 points.
Yeah, 3.
3
On the X.
on the X, negative 3.
Yeah.
So 0, or negative 3, 0 would be 1. You need 1 other. And there are multiple. You said the X would be 3. Is there another point on the line? It's at 3 or negative 3. So you're close. At 4 or negative 4. There we go. So the Y value was. Right? And then how far would we go up? Or down, depending on how you're reading it. 3. So if we're going down like this, we can go down 3. And then how many units over?
1.
1. If we're going down and right, does that give us a positive or a negative?
Negative.
Negative. The down would make that a negative. be negative 3. Some of you started doing some of the other ones while we were going over this, and that's fine. I want you to try 1 and 4. Do that in the next 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and talk about those two. Any others you want to see, and then move on to the next slope thing.
I know damn well you're not gonna tell him you get out early.
Oh no, I'm gonna be like, yo, I do like 30 hours a week.
Alright, let's double check our answers with these answers. The first one should have been -1. M equals -1. You could have chosen any 2 points. I'm going to show you where all of them are.
Oh, negative?
It would be negative because you're going either down and to the right or up and to the left. But you could have chosen any of these points. You don't have to put them on there, but if you want to, you can. Okay. Any of those 2 points to find the slope, and then simplify. And here we're going down, and then right, or up, and then left. So we would have gotten a negative. Questions on that one? Or, say that one more time. It should be a positive, yes.
I'll buy the guys.
Like, I like 50 bucks.
There were really only 2 points on this one. Depending on how you count it, up 1 to the right 4 or down 1 to the left 4. Either way, you should have gotten a negative over a negative or a positive over a positive to get a positive 1 4.
Stay in the year. Stay in the year.
Are there any other graphs that we want to go over? Have questions about? Before we move on. Let's move on. Alright, so now go back to this is your next page.
Why on to say another year?
Who's exactly
Write this.
Is that crazy?
Write this in your formula box. Yes.
Where the bathroom?
And Evan is back, yes.
Everyone's not coming there.
I'm about to text him, bro.
M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, let's say you forget the order of this. It happens. As long as you remember to put your y's in the top, change in y, your y's, those have to go in the numerator at the top, then you should be okay. X's have to go in the denominator. And then when you do this, let's say you put the 1's first, that's fine, as long as you put both 1's first, the y and the x on top of each other, and the y2 and the x2 on top of each other. Where you put that doesn't matter as long as they're on top of each other. Okay? So if you mess up the order, it's okay as long as y's are on top and whatever number y is on the same number x, on top of the same number x. Alright, simplify always. This helps me. It may help you, so do it if it helps you. Don't if you feel like you got it. Whatever you have, label it as x1, y1, x2, y2. Because each ordered pair is an xy, you just want to know which ones are the ones, which ones are the twos. That way you don't get confused. Once you have them labeled, you just put it into the formula. M equals y2, so 3. We are always subtracting no matter what. y1, and then x2, which is 4, minus, we're always subtracting, and then x1. So you put that in your formula, and then you can simplify. If you're asking to go to the bathroom, you're going to have to go over. Subtract each part, tell me what you get. 2/3. Just as before, make sure you're writing equals m or m equals. That way we know this is our slope. Over, make sure you come right back. Question on how the slope formula works. Really, we're using the slope formula on graphs when we count the slope, but we don't do all of this because we can just look at it and count, but it's doing the same thing. Okay, let's do another one, number 2. Again, label them if you need it. Put those numbers into the formula. So m equals y2 to -2. Subtracting y1 to 4 all over x2, which is 10. Again, we're subtracting, but our x1 is also negative. So even if it already is negative, you still want to make sure you're subtracting. And then simplify. If we subtract across, what would we get? That would be the simplest version, yes. So -6, we have -6 going 12, which would simplify to -1/2. Okay. When you put this in your calculator, make sure you type it in exactly as it looks. 10 minus a -2. That way it really adds. The negative and the minus together and really add. But I wouldn't change it to a plus. That way you're not confused on the formula or anything like that. I was thinking of other ones. We'll do one more together. Any others you guys want to do, and then I'll have you do a couple. Do we have any questions on how we do this slow process so far? Let's do number 6. Same process. You guys tell me how I should put this into the formula. Okay.
8 equals 5 over -7 -2.
Now, Avir did y1 minus y2. And again, as long as you have your x1 underneath that y1, that's fine. What happens when we subtract these 7s? There's a lot of talking that's not directed at answering. What happens when we subtract these 7s? They equal 0. And then if we have something that's over 0, what type of slope is that going to be? first page. Look back to it if you need to. Put this into your calculator so you can get 0. Anytime we have 0 in the denominator, this would be undefined. Right? Something else that could have told us that this was going to be undefined is that we have the same x values, which means in our denominator, they're going to cancel each other out to become 0. Now, you would still need to show that work on how you got the slope. But when you get here, you also need to know that this is undefined. You can't leave this like this. Cross out 7 through 10. You can do them, but we are not doing them. You won't see anything like that in this class. Those were for a different class. So disregard those.
I used to back. What's back?
Theo was going to ask this. Theo, what's your pass? Let's do 5 and then I'll have you go through them. Ask that same question. Right, go ahead and start to set up number 5. How would we set that up?
You go first. And then you do it. Are we gonna go at the same time? We're gonna wait, right? Are you gonna pay for me?
Over, how would we set this up?
I don't even know which one we're on.
5.
You put 9 and 9, and then 3 and 5.
Alright, so if we subtract, what's going to happen with our 9s? We're going to 0 out, which means this is what type of slope? 0. 0 over anything is 0. Just like the other ones, you could have saw that or figured that out by looking at the y values. Y values are the same. They're going to be put in the numerator. They're going to cancel each other out. Do we have any questions right now on how we do slopes using the slope formula? I want you guys to try 3 and 4 if you haven't already. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. We'll come back and check it, and then the rest of the time will be yours to practice. I'm going to put the answer up here. Try to work with mine.
What'd you get?
Okay.
5, 2 equals that, and 3, 1 equals that.
Negative 3, 1. Stop playing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have negative. I just didn't say it. No, dude, look. I didn't put it.
Okay.
I actually did.
Do you like practice?
I got
Huh?
Do you like open? Do you like grits?
oh shit. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait, why you not going to put that right here?
Oh, I already told you.
No man,
Isn't that on a Friday?
Saturday.
That's my word.
Why?
So we should have gotten positive
You got
5
nothing
over
to do
2
with it.
and negative 1 over 3.
What's
So
gonna
Ryan,
come
you
over?
guys said you were something wrong. But it
Oh,
should have been positive. But we were close. Right? Do
I
we
got
have
2.
any questions about any of that? You will have 2 delta maths that are due on Thursday. One you could do right now on everything we just talked about. Slope from a graph and slope from 2 points. Knock that out, and then time is yours. So if you want more practice than that, you can keep going in the back. There are more questions.
You wanna go?
But do your delta math, and then the time is yours.